Welcome back, everybody. A lot of things have changed in Illuvium, a lot of things will change in Illuvium, and a lot of things are changing right now, today in Illuvium. So we're gonna talk about first what has changed with Season 2 and all of that stuff, then we're gonna talk about what will change with Season 3 being paused and so on, and then we're gonna talk about what is changing today, because today we got a brand new patch, a huge patch, and we're gonna go over it real quick so you are fully informed. Let's jump right into it, and where I like to start, as always, is in the Discord. So right here, we have the announcement about the Season 2. Season 2 has ended. All points should be displayed correctly on the dashboard. So if you go now into your Illuvium profile right here, you go under activity. No, you actually go into missions. Then you go into history. You will see the dashboard for all your past rewards. So for example, pre-season 1 is now unlocked because everything is subject to a 3-month vesting period. So you can see it right here. It has been unlocked. You can collect it. If you collect it before the 3 months are over, you're gonna lose a portion of your reward. So I would recommend not do this. Don't play the market. Don't try to like get it out 10 days earlier to sell it for more. Like just, I don't know. Personally, I just let it sit and then collect my 100%. Pre-season 2 is gonna be unlocked in 10 days. Then we got the rewards for Season 1. I was really pleasantly surprised about the 20 LV that I got. I thought I would be getting less. And the vesting started from the day 1. Even though we didn't see the rewards, the dashboards, and everything right away, we're gonna have the full vesting starting at the exact date the season ends, the vesting starts. And then we have Season 2. I also got 15, almost 15 LV here. So that's huge. That's way more than I spent in fuel. Thank you very much to Illuvium for that. But here comes the problem. We're spending too much money on acquiring too little people. The cost of acquisition right now is way too high. And that's why Illuvium has decided to pause Season 3. Because right now we're basically throwing out millions for airdrop points and getting not enough players back to make it worth spending this amount of money. So planned for October, Season 3 will continue with a new structure. We're gonna have overworld events, which are gonna be 2,000 LV, 17%, tournaments, 5.6 thousand on 47%, leaderboards, and mission and milestones are also gonna return. You might ask why 50% in tournaments? Because this is the format that is the hardest to be exploited. There is no multi-accounters. Hopefully there is no botting and all of that stuff, because it's more or less in person. It's not like offline in person, but it's pretty safe to not have people extract too much value compared to what we've seen with my missions and milestones. And I'm really excited for tournaments and leaderboards. There's also been some leaks that there will be Leviathan and non-Leviathan tournaments and leaderboards and everything like that. So don't worry. If you want to go for Leviathan, go shop for those good stat Illuvias, level them up, and so on. If you don't want to do that, don't worry. There is going to be non-Leviathan tournaments and PvP structures as well. So this brings us up to 12,000 LV instead of the usual 30,000. So we're saving 18,000 LV for a future point. These are going to go back into the in-game rewards treasure pool, and then we can give them out in the future. Because right now, giving out 30,000 LV for the player base that we have, which is okay, don't get me wrong. I'm really happy that we have a lot of players in Illuvium, but it's not big enough to justify 30,000 LV being given out. So this has been more than cut in half. It went down to 12,000 from 30,000. And then this 18,000 just gives us more runway in the in-game reward section of Illuvium. So I like this a lot. We're going for PvP. We have a more realistic payout for people. Because last month I got 800 bucks and I was not playing that much. I was like editing, streaming a lot. So yeah, I think it might be a little bit too much. So yeah, that's what happened. So Season 2 is over. Your stuff is vesting. Season 3 will start in October with a lot of PvP and competitive incentives, also missions and milestones. Overall points have been reduced, and that is it. So let's talk about the patch that dropped today, and it's a testnet patch. So if you don't remember, we have the testnet right here. You probably have access if you have been in here for a while. It's right here. It's grayed out, Illuvium testnet. You have to update it. And that's where the new patch got deployed. And once we test it on the testnet, then it will roll over to the main net, to the main game right here, right? I don't know what experimental is, but just ignore that. So basically, I think there's 5,000 people who have access to Illuvium testnet, and they can still test it right now. The team has said it's a little bit of a problem to give out new keys at the moment. They're gonna look into this. I think they also have to talk to Epic Games and stuff. So yeah, if you don't have access to testnet right now, don't worry, the patch will come to you. You can watch me also on stream how I play it and can check it out there. We're also gonna go over the patch notes. But yeah, I will keep you informed if there is any new keys being given out to test the game as well. But if you have that updated, jump in. I'm gonna jump after this video right onto stream. So catch me on stream to see me playing mostly Gauntlet on the new patch, because I think the patch has mostly been focused around Gauntlet. And talking about the patch and what has been changed, let's look at the patch notes, which is a 115-page long document, which is cool. I'm not gonna it sounded like I'm complaining. I'm surprised, you know. And we got all the details, all the nitty-gritty for all the people who wanna nerd out and really dive deep into it. I'm gonna take a more of a, learn by doing approach, and I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but we're gonna highlight the most important things of this patch. So first up, we got lobbies in Gauntlet mode, so you have private lobbies now. You don't have to like 3, 2, 1, everybody sign up. No, you have lobbies to go in there together and group up before. We have additional support for cosmetic and survival and Gauntlet, updates of some of the Gauntlet UI. Optimization happened with CPU memory utilization, especially in the overworld, so this is really cool to see. And then fixed multiple bugs. The Illuvial power level progression has been addressed in a way that matches Gauntlet, economy, and ascension difficulty. We're just gonna come to that in a second. Improve the accuracy of Illuvial performance based on their role. So basically, tanks are more tanky, rogues are more assassinatey. Right, that was weird. Scions are more glass cannons, fighters deal and take damage equally. Everybody has been pushed more into representing their roles more clearly, instead of sometimes being a fighter being more tanky than a bulwark, or a rogue being more tanky than a fighter, or stuff like this, or a tank doing more damage than a rogue. And, those weird shenanigans, they tried to clean it up a little bit here. And then we also have improved the accuracy of Illuvial performance based on the nature, on the animal they represent. So for example, the Archie, our turtle empath, it's a turtle, it's supposed to be a tanky empath, right? I think they did that really well there. But that's basically the idea. So for example, maybe a Gyro, who right now is very tanky because he always rolls away and dodges the damage. Maybe that's too much. Maybe you should, once he gets focused, he should die faster. Or you can do this example with a lot of Illuvials, and they have been pushed more into what they really represent. For example, a Kukurov, a big fluffy bird. Okay, he's dodging maybe a lot because all of these feathers, but if he gets hit, he should take a lot of damage, not be tanky, and so on. There's unlimited examples there. Let's go down here. Known issues. So here's the bugs that are known. The lobby owner is unable to change the loadout in Gauntlet mode, and so on. You can read over this. It's nothing game-breaking, really. Lights chosen is still bugged. It shouldn't give 50%. It should only give 30%, and so on. So let's jump really quickly to explaining unit power level progression, because I think that's the most important change for Gauntlet. So before we had the level progression based on mastery points. So for example, a tier 5 Illuvial costs on stage 300 mastery points, gets a 2,800 power level. On stage 1, it only 1,400 with costing 50. So basically, the power level of the Illuvials is designed after the mastery points. The more mastery points, the stronger your Illuvial. The problem right here is with Gauntlet, a tier 5 stage 1 Illuvial costs 5, but a stage 3 Illuvial tier 5 costs 45. So it's 9 times the amount of the stage 1. And here we only have double the amount. So it's way more costly to get your stage 3 Illuvials in Gauntlet than it is in the other game modes. That means those stage 3 Illuvials need to be buffed a lot to represent the money that you have to spend to get them. So now we go from 2,800 on a Rampfire to 3,500 on a Rampfire. Also, the tier 0 and the tier 2, which is Lynxes, have been buffed even more because they are not giving composite affinities and classes. They're only a fire rogue, for example. They're not a magma bulwark, a magma behemoth, which gives you so much more synergies. So to accommodate that, to take that into account, tier 0 and tier 2 have been buffed even more. And basically what this says is your stage 3 Illuvials in Gauntlet will be way stronger, represent that way higher cost to get them, and that will make them actually worth going for. And hopefully now, if you get a tier 5 stage 3 Illuvial, you almost insta-win, which is the case in TFT, which is kind of what we're designing after. Then we have the Illuvial changes. I'm not going to go over everything, but basically, for example, the Axolotl line is a tanky line. Well, tankiness went up, max health, resistance stayed the same, energy resist a little bit up. It's very small changes, and I would just say overall, speaking, the tanky Illuvials more tanky, the Scion Illuvials more glass cannon. Glass cannon means a lot of damage, but can't take any damage, and so on. So we're not gonna go over each of the Illuvials. We're gonna go all the way down here to affinities and synergies. And even this can be a little bit much to talk about. So what we're gonna open here is again the Discord. We have the Illuvium Arena chat right here, and then somebody made a nice summary. We got Arcanite buff, Berserker buff. Now it is immortal at 1% for up to 3.5 seconds, which basically is the old Indomitable, right? You can be reduced to 1 HP, but you cannot die. So that's really cool to see. They can dash out a lot of damage before they die. Maybe heal up if you give them here, if you give them Omnivamp, and if they have stacked up a lot of attack speed, for example with the Monkey and so on, it's gonna be crazy to see them like just go wild on 1% health. Especially, for example, with the Augment that gives you extra damage on less health, but we're digressing a little bit. Invoker has been nerfed, which I find a little bit strange because Invoker wasn't in the meta, but probably the individual Invoker units have been buffed, and that's the case with a lot of these things. Sometimes the units have been buffed and the synergy down, or the synergy up and the Illuvials down. So this is just one page, and also the Illuvials that are in this trade will also have a change, so maybe that reflects why Invoker has been nerfed, because the other Illuvials are so strong. Phantom has been nerfed, makes sense. Rampfire has been buffed, so it makes sense to nerf Phantom to not one-shot the whole board again. Predator nerf, Revenant big nerf. Now it doesn't shield everybody around him when he takes down something. He only shields the lowest health unit and himself. Slayer big buff, that's interesting, because Gyro and Umber were already pretty good, I think. Let's see how that will go. Templar got a big buff, Bloom nerf, Inferno buff, Magma big buff. Also interesting, because Magma was already really strong, I think, but we'll see. Mud buff, Shock nerf, Spore nerf, Steam buff. I like the Spore nerf, I like the Steam buff. Those two, this one was overperforming, this was underperforming. Tempest nerf, Verdant nerf. Tempest apparently is not really nerfed, its energy still got buffed dramatically. And then I did another summary right here, but we're having a little discussion about it already. But basically from what I saw, the water got buffed, earth got buffed, fire got nerfed, nature got buffed, and air got nerfed. And then bulwark buffed, fighter buffed, rogue nerfed on lower threshold. For example, 2 rogues is weaker now, but buffed on higher threshold. 8 rogues seem to be crazy strong. And then Scions now have the same thresholds as rogues, which is crazy to me. We got 2, 4, 6, and 8. So if you have 2 Scions, you already activate the first threshold. Plus the threshold hasn't been, or the value hasn't been lowered much. So we can see it here in Scion, for example. Instead of 5, you only need 4 Illuvials now, and you still have the same Omega power. So Scions seem to be very strong now with this change. We're gonna see about it. And yeah, then there is some criticism why is air nerfed. Actually, it has changed a lot. It's not only nerfed, and we'll find out if it has really been nerfed, because empath, not empath, air. So basically, air used to reduce or increase the energy cost of enemy Illuvials for the first cast. Now it reduces the energy cost, or increases the energy cost, makes it harder to cast for the enemy team for all casts. So this is a big buff. Dodge chance has been extremely nerfed from 30 to 20% and so on. But now the extra Omega, the extra energy needed to cast Omega has been applied to all casts. Not only the first, but it has been nerfed a lot, from 10% to 4% and almost half, and then it's not so bad anymore. With 9 Illuvials, it actually has been buffed. It's 80% all casts with 9 air units, so that's crazy. It seems like going full on black and white, very much into one direction. For example, 8 Scions or 8 Rogues or 9 Air. This is very dangerous because if somebody plays a full fire team, you're just done. But if you manage to pull it off, it's supposed to be very strong, and I think that reflects a lot of these changes reflect that. I think Air has still been nerfed. It's just gonna be better in a long fight, but in a medium and short-term fight, it's gonna be weaker because all the stuff has been lowered, and now it applies to more casts. So basically, even if the enemy team on 3 air, even if the enemy team casts 2 times, it's still weaker, right? 3 times we would have 12%, so then we would have more, but enough about that. And then very much on the bottom, we have changes to augments, which is kind of interesting, I think. Devastation Surge just buffed. Head Start buffed. Forever immune instead of 15 seconds with immunity veil. That's interesting. Big buff, big buff. Energy damage has been lowered a bit on Counterblast. And then legendary augments. There is a lot of balancing going on here. So final bonding, Omegas can crit. Omegas can no longer crit. So you're not getting a free phantom buff with final bonding. It's just getting crit amp and 50 Omega power, which seems way too weak for a legendary augment. 50 crit, 50 Omega power. Like, this seems only good for phantom Illuvials. Otherwise, yeah, or for rogues, I guess, where you can use crit and Omega power. But for example, for a Scion, this doesn't help because he doesn't need crit. But yeah, final bonding seems to be dead. Light's Chosen, a 30 Omega power instead of 50. Then we have the Meteor damage has been nerfed from 300 to 200. Meteor was really overpowered, so I hope this will help. Omnisource Surge from 40 to 30 Omega power per cast. And then Quantum Reclamation, I like that because I thought I never picked it. It was a bit weak, and now the first Omega refunds 100% of energy, and then the second Omega refunds 35% of energy. And yeah, we have a little nerf here and a little nerf there. And then we have the Hyper Change, which is kind of crazy, I think. This is kind of overlooked. I think this is maybe the most impactful change. So for Fighter, nothing much changes. Instead of, you know, progressing bonus, so when you go from 0 Hyper to 99 Hyper, you were getting up to 50% attack speed. Now you get up to 70% attack speed. So while it's not fully hyper, you get more attack speed. But then once it's fully maxed out, instead of getting a 50% bonus on 100 hyper, you get now a 30% attack speed bonus. So it stays 100. First it was 50-50, now it's 70-30. It's just a bit better before it goes hyper and then a bit weaker once it's hyper. We have more resistance piercing though. Bulwark damage reduction has been reduced overall. Rogue crit temp has been doubled here from 50 to 100 while it's progressing, and then it stays the same once it hits the max bonus. So we got a plus 50% crit amp on Rogue and plus 2% health execute. So this is a pretty big buff to Rogue, and I thought we were gonna nerf Rogues because they've been dominating the meta, but I guess Rogues will be still available, and we're gonna play it later, right? This is all just theory. I just want to jump in and try it out. Scion has been nerfed by half here. And also by half here. Okay, Scion also, like Invoker nerf, Scion nerf, it only has now different thresholds. I hope that buffs it enough to be viable. But overall, Scion seems like a little bit nerfed. And then Empath also nerfed by half. It was too strong, the heal that you get on the max bonus. From 40% heal efficiency down to 20. I like that a lot. Because I don't like those healing cheese Empath clumps and so on. And then lastly, by the way, thank you everybody for supporting me. And if you want to keep supporting me, account settings right here in your profile. There's a referral code section. You have to re-enter this code manually every 30 days. You can do it every 20 days, 25 days, 15 days, doesn't matter. Just re-enter it at least once a month to make sure you're supporting one of our content creators. My code is PASS. Doesn't matter how you write it, it will work. Thank you very much, whoever puts my code in. But also thank you for everybody who has another content creator in here, because we need to support our Illuvium content creators. And that's what you're doing by this. It doesn't take anything away from you. It just gives us a cut from Illuvium. So yeah, every 30 days, referral code, put your favorite creator in. Thank you very much for whoever supports my content creation. And with that, I think we have covered everything. So basically, a quick recap. Season 2 has ended. You already can see it in the dashboard. You should claim it after 3 months. It's my recommendation once you got the full vesting in and you get the 100%. Season 3 is coming in November. Now in October, nothing is going on. We're just preparing, basically. We have the testnet. So download the testnet, try out the new patch, let them know what you think about it. There will be some forms to fill out, like feedback forms and so on. They really want to do hardcore testing, so then the patch can go live for the next season and be ready for PvP tournaments and leaderboards. And yeah, then we have the patch notes, which we can go over it all day long, but now I want to jump into the game, try it out. So catch me in the Phantom Discord voice channel or in the Illuvium Discord voice channel, or catch me on stream and let's play some Gauntlet together. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I see you in the next one. I wish you a wonderful day. Peace out, everybody.